Hello, this is going to be the recording of the live class that I promised you all as a thank you for all your support over this last year, all the comments, the likes, the sharing things. I really, really appreciate it. And I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for all that support. So thank you so much. I'm sorry about having to postpone the class. It did sound a bit dramatic. I can just reassure you all that everything's okay. It was some illness in the family that I kind of needed to be around for. And this is the best way that I can think of to get this content up for you so that you guys can still do the free class. But I'm not promising to do it on a date and then cancelling it again. So I'm going to switch the camera around and we'll get started. So don't forget, you can find the free download on my website. It's up on there. And you're going to need that if you want to do the exact same page that I'm going to create in my journal. Okay, see you at the end. Okay, so this is the page that we're going to create. This is the download that you can find on my website. It's free. So like I said, this is free content as a thank you. So I'm going to be working in a Dilutions journal just because I like the space that that gives me. But you could definitely size this down to a 6-inch journal if you're playing in one of Nat's journals, or even Dina's watercolour journal. It'll still work. You might just have to maybe lose a couple of the figures off the end, but the process will still work exactly the same. So I am just going to find another set of pages in here where I can work. Maybe we'll go nearer the beginning. We'll get started. Let's go here. That's nice and flat. Okay, so we are going to use a ruler and just tear the image. So I've printed it on printer paper. If you have the ability to, you can print it on collage paper, of course. But I wanted to show you how easy it is to do it on ordinary printer paper and still make it work and still blend the image in. So I'm just removing the white edges. The reason for tearing and not using scissors is basically just because I want a softer edge. It's easier to blend if you've got a softer edge. So a torn edge is going to make that easier to blend in. Okay. And I'm going to keep the quote. I mean, you can write the quote out yourself. You can stamp it on. It's entirely up to you, really. So we're going to stick this down. And then we're going to add some white gesso around the edges of the page. So let me just show you on this one, wherever it is. Where's it gone? Here we go. I kind of put my image towards the bottom of my page, but I left a little bit of space because I wanted to pull these shadows out so that it gives that feeling of continuity to the page. And you'll notice there's lots of hearts on here, so we're going to need a sheet of paper as well that we're going to paint some colours onto to work with what's on our journal page. Okay, so it doesn't really matter what you stick this in with. A little side note, if you've got an inkjet printer, be mindful that the colours on your image will run. Okay, so there's a few things that you can do. If you have some of Dina's clear gloss, you can give it a spritz and it will, just a light spritz, and then dry it. It should seal it. The other thing you can do is very quickly paint over some matte medium, but I wouldn't go over with more than one brush stroke because it will make the colours bleed. Give it a dry. That will also seal. I'm going to stick it in with glue stick, mostly because, ooh, I can't actually remember. I don't know why is that pink? What have I glued in with that? Look at that, that's funky. Okay, so we'll just have to be a little bit careful not to get that pink on here. I've obviously had some Lindy's out and stuck it in, and it's got some stuck on the end of the glue stick. That's okay. Just don't want that pink to come through to the other side, so I'll have to do something about that. Okay, so I'm going to stick this down here. I might even just come a little bit lower down than I did last time. Give it a good press down. Put that to one side so I don't grab that and absent-mindedly glue with bright pink glue. Okay. So I would suggest grabbing some white gesso. And what we're going to do here is just go around and pull some over the image and onto the page as well. So this is the start of kind of blending this out. Now, I'm not particularly bothered about covering the page everywhere. All I want to do really is just pull this gesso onto my image that I've stuck on and out to the edges of my page. So thinking here as well, if you have areas where you haven't got gesso, that doesn't matter. That's just going to mean that the paint will behave a little bit differently. And one of the techniques I'm going to show you is how to make your acrylics behave a bit like watercolour. And it's simple, it's addictive, it's easy to do. I think you're going to love it. So, okay, trying really hard not to dip my sleeve in the gesso. Don't have many items of clothing that don't have colours of different paint on them, to be fair. Okay. So because I've got shadows on this bottom bit, I'm not worrying too much about pulling the gesso across there. You can see I haven't covered everywhere. I've pretty much just popped some on without overthinking. So, in full disclosure, that isn't Dina gesso, that is a top up of other gesso, just because I had some and I wanted to use it up, and it's easier to have it in the pot. Now, it does help if you have your heat tool plugged in. Makes a big difference to whether it works or not. Incredible that. Oh, there we go. Helps if you also put the plug in properly. Apparently that makes a difference too. Okay. So just to show you, I think this might be a laser print, but I'm going to show you how easy it is to put a little spritz of clear gloss on there. You just want to go in with a light cover. Don't forget, it's still acrylic. You need to wash the nozzle once you've finished. I'm going to give that a dry. So as long as you don't go too heavy with it and soak your page, that is just going to help seal the colours. So this gloss spray you can use it over scribble sticks, you can use it over any water reactive medium, and it will seal it, and then you can work on top of it. So it opens up so many possibilities of things that you can do and layers that you can create in your art journal. Yeah, okay, so a very important drink of tea. Looking for my paint palette. Ah, there it is. Okay, so I find these are quite useful. This is from Royal and Langnickel. It's a 5x7 little palette paper. Works really nicely. Yeah, I like it. Okay, let's put that away. That out the way too. Right. So I'm now going to start thinking about pulling some of these colours out across and out onto my page. So the way that I do this is to look at the colours that I can see and kind of think, what's going to match? So blushing, I can immediately see that blushing is going to work here. So I'm going to use, I'm just going to wash that brush because I was playing with it yesterday. These soft tip brushes from Dina that were in her most recent, one of her most recent releases in 2025. This is a size 12. They've got lovely soft tips. This is a great brush for this. So if you've got a really soft tip brush, it's going to be perfect here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to water this down. So I'm just going in with some water. It's not rocket science. And I just want that to be a little bit more flowy. So the more I water it down, the less pigmented it'll be. And then you can see I'm going to pull it onto the image. And then I'm going to pull it out. And I'm holding my paintbrush quite near the end. I'm keeping my marks loose. And the paint is going to go on how it wants to, because we've got gesso in some places and not in others. So I'm going to just add some splatters just to make it move as well. I'm just going to pull that out. Okay. You don't have to fill the whole page. So this is kind of a bit like Dina's papaya, or maybe even apricot. Oh yeah, let's go apricot. So that was blushing. This is apricot. Again, I'm going to water it down. I think I will have to go and change my water at some point because that's already looking a bit filthy. Again, pull it down onto your image, let it overlap with the colour next door, let them blend. Keep those brush strokes loose, 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 loose. And again, just come in with a few splatters. This is definitely a nice, easy background because you're not overthinking, you're just getting some colours on. And we're working with what's on here already. So I've got a little splatter there. Really sure that I want it there, but I can lift it off. I just wet my brush, took some of the water off and lifted it out the way. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I need a nice bright yellow, and I think lemon is going to work for that. So do you know what I might do as well? Is just lift some of this excess off here. So one thing to think is you don't need to be putting out massive blobs of paint. I'm saying this and I just have a feeling that that's going to explode everywhere. There we go. Just a little bit. And then water it down again. It's because you want your colours to be nice and bright. It is quite important to have clean water. If you can see my water, it isn't clean. And I will have to go and clean it. Okay, so again, pull the colour down onto your image and bring it up to the edge. Let it blend over a bit. Here we've got, it's quite yellow in the middle, isn't it? I might come in with a bit of mustard here and just bring a bit of, let the colours blend across onto the other side. That was a very big glob of yellow, but that's okay. Keep it loose, 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 loose. A fair bit of paint left over there, so I might just do that. And if there's anywhere where you think, I just want that to move a bit more, just go in with some water and then just put some water on and leave the water to do its thing. So here I can soften some of these edges by just pulling my brush across and letting the paint kind of flow into the water. And it'll do that because we've popped some gesso on the page. It should do that quite nicely. Okay, so I'm thinking this is a little bit like watery. I think watery will work quite nice. Let's go with that one. So daisy. Oh, that's naughty. Get out. So because I've sealed that with the clear gloss, you can see how easy it is to lift the... Wow, that's runny. How easy it is to lift the colours off. Now, obviously, blue and yellow make green. So if this makes a green, am I going to be bothered? I am not. I'm not. It really doesn't matter. I might bring a little bit more pigment in. Got a little hair. Some more pigment into this. So I might drop a little bit of sky in as we come round here. Proper runny. Yeah, definitely. I think need. So you can see there's these brush marks here on the original. I'm just going to pull them out like that. So we're working out to the edge. The reason for that, I like to connect it to the edge. It's going to make it feel like this is intentional. This was meant to be here. And it just kind of makes it flow out to the edges. So I'm going to go in with a tiny bit of sky here. There's plenty in the lid. Okay, let's put that down there. Grab this, a little bit of water. So you can see I'm making it quite flowy. Oh, I've mixed some yellow in there. Am I bothered? No. That's, yeah, that is a slightly better blue. And we are going to come over the top of this with some stenciling as well. So you don't have to be too worried about getting this perfect. In fact, we don't want it perfect, do we? No, no to that. Okay. Ooh. Let's just mop some of that up. And I'm going to go in with a little bit more. I'm just going to make some splatters. So adding those splatters just gives it a more free look as well. I love a good splatter. Okay. Right, so this side has started to dry a little bit, so I might start working around here now. We're going into kind of pinks. So here I'm thinking maybe pinky orange, maybe raspberry. Yeah, let's go raspberry because we can water raspberry down. I have to go and change that water, definitely. I'll do raspberry and then I'll go and swill out my water. So if when you put it on you think, yee, that's very, very dark, I don't want it that dark, go in with a cloth and you can just blot it away a little bit or add more water. But definitely don't over worry it because it's fine. And here you can see I can just thin that out by going in with some water and it will just pull that pigment out a bit further. And I'm just pulling it across onto the image here so that it kind of makes a bit more sense. So this colour, because it is a little bit darker than what's there, but I love it. Raspberry is one of my favourite Dina pinks. Gorgeous. Again, some splatters. Am I bothered that they've gone over there? I am not. Quite like that, in fact. Let's intentionally do that. Okay, so now we're moving into red. This is Ruby. Harry's girlfriend's name. Right. Let's get some red down here. I need to bring more. So obviously we're going to pull shadows over the top of this as well. In a bit. Not yet. But and if you think, oh, there isn't enough of that colour on the image, put some there. So I want to definitely bring some more of this pink here. And I think I'm just going to some water and let it move. Like that, quite like that. That's nice. Might be nice just to pop a little bit of red in there. Let me check that is definitely on camera. It is. Okay. So now we're going to move into oranges. I'm just going to go and change my water and then I will be back. Okay, I am back. Right. I like the way that this is drying with the lovely brush marks in the paint. We're going to come with some stenciling over the top as well, so that'll be really lovely. Just didn't want that massive blob of pink there, but you know, that's me, my inner perfectionist, going, that's not quite right. It really doesn't matter. Remind yourself, Claire, what you tell everybody. It really doesn't matter. Okay, so now I'm going Tangelo. Got quite a dark green here. So what I can do for some of this is mix a little bit into that, some of that red. So I've got my ruby here and I'll just pick up a bit of that. Mix that in and then I can pull that here and then gradually come over to, that's a nice colour, isn't it? Gradually come over to Tangelo. Nice. Oh, pink, no, I don't want you in there. What are you doing? Again, pull it up onto your image. And then we're going to be coming across to like a mustardy yellow. Okay. Ooh. Boop. Right, mustard. Oh, Lordy. Too much, never mind. Those colours are so pretty together. Okay, so again, that's going to come up onto the image. I mean, I bet you can't imagine why, can you? I've ended up using this image today. Nothing to do with the fact that it's rainbowy. No. No, no, no. Right, I've got some of this mustard here, so I'm just going to pull a little bit onto this lemon that's up here. So it's going to bring a bit more depth to that. I'm keeping my lines wiggly loose. You can see I'm still holding my brush at the end. I just want some more depth in that colour. Okay, so now we want a sort of dark green. I'm thinking evergreen's going to work quite nicely. That's that lovely Dina green. Do you know what? I think I might just use those colours up on that are on here onto a sheet of paper. So if you've got a sheet of printer paper and you've got some colours left over, you can start to add those onto a sheet, because of course we need to make a sheet with colours on for our hearts. So I'm going to start off with these, and I'm going to use some green and blue, and we can throw some more colours in a little bit. So grab another brush, just paint your colours on. Kind of doesn't really matter how they go. Just going to cut some hearts out of this, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just going to be nice to have some colours in here that are on the journal page. So I'm going to put that to one side. I've now used up those colours that were left. Let's give that another wipe down. So I want to go in with green, and if I leave those orangey yellow colours there, they're going to make my green go a bit brown, and I don't really want that. Okay, so a little bit of evergreen. Managing to control myself there, look. Let's just water that down. Now there's not a lot of green here, so I'm going to actually try and add more green to this than there is. So that mustard yellow has got some kind of red tones in it. So if you're not careful and you mix a colour like green near it, it may go a little bit muddy. So literally just dot it on and then leave it be. Got a little bit of this green left over. Let me just wash that brush out. Just going to pop this down here. Oh, so we're going to need a bit more, aren't we? So obviously this is printer paper and this is now quite wet, but that's all right. It'll dry and it's all good. Right, so now we need a nice bright blue. Maybe we just go in with sky. Although that is quite purpley there. So let's use sky first and then add a little bit of purple in. We need to go bluer than that, definitely. Lapis. Lapis, here we come. This is another one that's got paint in the lid. I'm just going to mix a little bit of that in there. That's a much richer blue. Oh yes, perfect. And then I'll bring some purple in here. So let's go blackberry or iris. Actually, let's go iris because it's a bit of a softer. And I'm going to put a little bit in with okay, so now I'm going iris. I'm mixing it in with the blues that I've just used so that it's going to blend nicely and make sense. I'm going to pull some of that through the blue as well, and then out here. So I've got a bit of a blank bit here, and I'm just going to put some of this nice purpley colour up here between his legs and a little bit up in here, just so that works together. And then I'll pull it up here, and I will come in with water and see if I can move some of this around a little bit more. Like that, just make it a bit more flowy. Okay, so, oh, and then let's just paint that colour onto here. Not much there. No, there really isn't much there. That's an understatement, isn't it? So this page for your hearts, it really doesn't need to be mega neat at all, because we're going to add colours on and we're going to cut hearts out. So just get some colour on there and that will be fine. I'm just going to put a bit of red on there because there isn't really any at the minute. And then we can set this aside to dry. Okay. Okie dokie. I'm going to put that to one side for now. We don't need that just at the minute. Okay, so I'll get my heat tool and give this a dry so that I'm working on a nice dry surface. So the next thing we're going to do is add our shadows, and I'm going to use Night for that, which is Dina's beautiful dark blue, darky blue purpley shade. It's fabulous, and it's going to work quite nicely with what's already there on the image. Oh, run, run, run. This is going to take a little bit of drying, but that's okay. It does need to be dry before we go on to the next bit. But I'm already liking how that's coming together. And once we've got our shadows along the bottom, that's going to help to break up that line that you can currently see here. And of course, we've got all the tricks that we can use, which are stamping, stenciling, to just help create those really lovely blends on our work. I know this isn't much fun watching paint dry. So I hope you've all had a restful Christmas. I know Christmas can be a really hard time for lots of people for different reasons. We are taking down Christmas today. I don't like to go into the new year with Christmas still up. Very personal thing. And I also get to the point where I've had enough of the Christmas decorations hanging around, so time for them to go. So they are coming down today. And I think New Year for us will be a quiet night. Bit of telly. Maybe play some games. So if while you are drying you think I'm fed up of waiting, just go in and blot. And that will interestingly create more marks because it will lift paint out and you'll get lighter areas. So, you know, that's okay. If you think I'm bored of drying this now, I want to move on, Okay, so you can see how loose my paint marks are, and how interestingly the paint has behaved on the gesso. It really does makes a great first layer. So let's have a look at the page. Okay, so we're going to pull our shadows out, and then we're going to come in with some stenciling over the top just to make that background even more interesting. Okay, so I'm going to use Night, and again I'm going to water this down a little bit, maybe not quite as much as I did for the background, because these shadows, they are quite watery. And one of the things I loved about this image was the fact that you could kind of see brush marks in it. So now I want this image to flow out, so I'm going to pull this shadow down here to this bottom corner. Okay, and then this one, and you can see I'm painting over what's already there because I want it to make sense. Again, pull it down. I can go in with another layer if I want to. It's almost like these people have been standing out in colourful rain, and colours have washed into the puddles. I mean, you could do coloured shadows if you wanted to. But I kind of wanted to share with you like a way that I blend my images onto my page. That one's a little bit small. Let's leave that like that. But I do think when you're doing something like this, it is very important to pull your colours that you are adding onto the image that you are using. And that way it just makes it feel like it belongs. One thing that I didn't do on my trial page that I've just suddenly thought about is once this is dry, we can come in with some scribble sticks or like a water sort, like a Neo Colour 2, and we can add some brighter colours around the shadows if we want to. Because I notice here there's like a green. So again, I'm going to pull this one. What's he doing with his arms? Okay. Okay. How is that looking? And just go in with some night splatters as well around the edge of your shadow. I think I need a bit more depth of colour there, so let's just pop a little bit more out. Quite dark enough. And one thing I think you can get away with this style of painting as well is brush marks that you can see work perfectly fine. So again, we need to dry this. So the shadows are pretty much touching the figures, and that kind of makes that make sense as well. So I'm just getting that nice and dry. The reason I'm being so careful drying, it's nothing technical, is literally just to stop me smearing my arms in the paint and then spreading it everywhere, wondering where the paint's come from. Okay, so you can see all those lovely swirly brush marks in there. Okay, so I'm going to go in with some stenciling. I am going to use these stencils. I'm going to use ones that I've designed for Natalie May Scrapbooking. So I'm going to use Claire's Mini Marks. I'm going to use Andrew's Circles. And what one did I use? I think I want a wordy one. Maybe that one, Growth. So I'm going for some kind of quite organic shapes. I've got lots of circles. I love circles. And I might use happy marks. So use what you've got. Anything like me, you've got a ton of stuff in your stash. I'm going to start off with the one with the biggest spaces in first. So I'm going to look to bring colours into the stenciling in a bit more depth that are already on my background. I'm not going to introduce any new colours at the moment. I can't promise I won't introduce any at all, but you know, not just yet. So I'm going to start off with Raspberry and just get a little bit, and I'm going to use a blending tool because I can get a much more kind of smooshy application with my colour. Now again, bring your stenciling down onto the image. Okay. I think I'm going to keep my colours as they are, so I'm just going to put that there. Then I'm going to go mustard. I am, when it decides it wants to come out. Might be even a new one of those. Mustard has become one of my favourite colours. That and raspberry. Love it. Okay, so here again, I'm just going to bring a little bit of stenciling. Okay. And then here I think instead of water, I'm going to use sky. It's a little bit grungy, never mind. We'll just go with that. Whatever. And a little bit of iris. I think my blending tool might have been a bit grungy there. You know, it's what it is. Okay. It's the same. How bizarre. Well, let's throw you away. Goodbye. Okay, so that was my circly, my big circly shape that I've done first. Then I think I'm going to go in with some smaller circles. And now here, I'm going to bring some mustard across onto here a little bit. definitely think that might be nearly empty. Okay, so I'm going to use these little circles here, and I'm just going to bring a little bit of blending across here. So I'm going to work similar colours, warm colours onto the warm side and cool colours over here. Just blend a tiny bit there. So, and then I might do the same just with some raspberry, some of these smaller dots, and just pull them across there like that. So I'm just looking to add little hints of that extra colour. Okay, so now I want my blue. Let's get rid of that. It was a manky one, wasn't it? Let's have some new ones if I can find any that aren't grubby. There we go. Sky. That's better. Okay. Pull some sky over there. I am pouncing this one because I think I might have some of the other colours on the stencil, and it's kind of smooshing. I like that. Okay, so can you see what I've done there? How I've pulled those colours across the page? Right, so don't think. So let's put those in the water. Let's get rid of that. Okay, I'm going to go with my texty stencil next. I'm going to use red for this side, and I'm probably going to use lapis for the other side, because I want to bring some text onto here. So I'm just put this one away. I used to store all my stencils in books, but I actually found I couldn't see them so easily. So now I store them in these plastic wallets, and I keep them on rings that are hanging on my desk. I mean, you know, it's the eternal search for the best way to store your supplies. It's an ever morphing picture, because I'm like, this is really not working. I need to do something different. Okay, so one thing you can do if you want text on your page but you don't necessarily, so you're not bothered about being able to read it, is you can just flip it over and do it backwards, because you don't really need, you just want the idea of words, and it doesn't necessarily matter whether they are legible or not, because the purpose of them being there is to add to the layers on your page. So I'm going to do these ones backwards. I'm sorry if that is going to upset some of you. Some of you will be like, I can't do that. That's fine, you do you, no worries. But I don't necessarily want the words to be there to read, so I'm just going to use it back to front, because I want the interest that they give rather than the text. Although that is a really cool stencil, it's about growth. The most beautiful thing about growth is that it's a process of becoming more yourself with each passing moment. Okay, this blue is quite bold, so I'm going to just lightly, yeah, that really was lightly. Okay, I'm liking how that's coming together. All right, let's put that away. I am a bit of a tidy-upper as well, so I like to tidy as I go along. It means I don't end up in too much of a pickle. Right, let's just have a quick look at so what I think might be quite nice, and I didn't do this on my other one, but I'm going to on this one because I think it would probably look quite good. So if you've got a stencil similar to this Happy Marks one, you just need one that's got really small spaces in it. I'm going to use some white. So if you're not particularly adept at leaving white space, you can go back and add it in after. This is a really easy way to do that. And I have got little areas of white, but by going in and just adding some white over the top, you're just going to push areas of the background away and just create some calmness. Now what you can do is do that where your colours blend if you want, because that will just help those be a bit more seamless. But what I'd say is just go in and add some little areas of white, just wherever you feel the urge to put them. Listen to those instincts, because often they will tell you when A, enough's enough, and B, where to put the stenciling that you're thinking, oh my gosh, where do I go next? Your instinct will probably be telling you, and you just got to learn to listen to it. Okay, so kind of like that. Let's have a look on camera. It looks so different on camera. It's really strange. Right, okay, I'm going to put that one away. So one thing we're going to do now is we're going to go in with a little bit of stamping. I have, as you will know, because the majority of you that I guess will be doing this free class are people who normally follow me, and you will know that I have lots of go-tos, things that I like to do to my page, and that includes adding dots. So I have a very well loved, I have many of these actually, dot stamp, and I'm going to use some black. Now I like to, let me show you on this one, I like to add dots around where my images blend and touch the edges. So I'm going to add some dots around the bottom, round here. This is a black archival ink, and anywhere where the image meets the rest of my page, I'm going to add some dots. For me, it kind of helps the flow of what's going on my page, and then I can also, just to make it make sense, I'm going to add a few up here. Don't overthink this bit at all, just let it happen. Okay, and also let me move that out of the way. I don't think I need, I'm going to put these paints away so I've got more thinking space. I can't function if it's too cluttered. Lovely husband made me some fabulous acrylic paint, 3D printed storage for my paints, so I can store Dean's paints upside down, which is particularly helpful when they get to that point where they are pretty nearly finished. Okay, I've got some space now, I can think about that. Okay, so have a look what's next. Okay, definitely like how this is coming together. A little bit of text or number stamping is also a nice way to kind of create those interesting blends and background elements. And of course, you don't have to do that with black. You can go in with a colour. So if you've got any coloured ink pads, you can use those. I did on my first page, but I think I'm going to on this one. Okay, so I'm going to put that up here out the way. Next, we're going to grab the sheet of paper that's got the leftover bits of paint on. I'm going to give it a good dry. So because this is just printer paper, it is buckling a little bit, but it really isn't a problem because it's going to be stuck down onto the page. Just making sure it's a little bit drier than it is. Giving it a jolly good soaking. Okay, so we're going to do two jobs now. I'm going to work onto here and onto here. So I'm just going to zoom this out a little bit more like that. Does that work? That does work. Okay, let me move those out of the way. The notes that I made while I was prepping this class. So you need to grab some water soluble medium now. It doesn't have to be scribble sticks, it can be Neocolor 2s, anything you like really. This is raspberry. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go around some of these circles with my raspberry, and then I'm just going to pull some colours onto here. I just want to add some more marks onto this page. This is ruby. So I want you to just go in and add some mark making onto your page. Okay, and then I'm going to go mustard. And we can water activate these as well in a bit. Tangelo, let's just pop some orange in there, why not? In there. Green, lime, let's put some lime up here. Blue, sky. So kind of take your inspiration from the colours that are already on your page. I mean, this looks awful. It won't do. Trust the process, my friends. That was blackberry, but you could, of course, use iris if you want to. I might just pull a bit of blackberry down there and maybe do a raspberry one here. There we go. Okay, so one thing you want to do now is grab, I am actually going to use a water brush for this. And I just want to just activate those colours and let them move around a bit. So what I'm looking for here is a little bit of contrast. I'm looking for some just darker areas of colour that are just going to draw the eye. Oh, I love how that bit's worked out. That's so gorgeous. I'm just letting the water activate the colour. I'm going to leave it alone. Okay, oh sorry, just caught my microphone. Okay, so then we'll just leave that. They actually look a bit like bubbles, don't they now? Okay, we now need a clean brush. My paint water is really hacky. So I'm just going to, now I'm just going to activate some of these colours on here as well. So I'm going to do all the warm colours first. And then I'll come in and do the other ones. Okay, that'll do. Next thing you need is a scribble stick. That's quite wet there. I'll just blot it to help it on its way. Okay, right. So I'm going to grab a scribble stick. These are, no, a Stabilo All, not a scribble stick, or scribble sticks on my brain. Apparently I can't speak either. Stabilo All is a water soluble pencil. I love them. I have loads left. I can't bring myself to throw them away. I just want you to just draw some loose lines on your paper. Don't overthink this. That'll do. Literally like that. And then get your brush and go over and activate them. If you miss the line, leave it. It doesn't matter. You just want to pull that pigment out and make it move where it wants to. So we're just making some more marks on this background. And then I'm going to use a little bit of stamping. So again, I'm using black archival ink. I'm just going to stamp in a few places. And some dots. Love dots. As you know, I love dots. Now you won't end up using all of this sheet. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip it over and cut hearts out of it. Now you can either use a punch for this if you want, or you can draw them and then cut them out. That bit's entirely up to you, it really is. The final thing you need to do with this is add some white splatters. You may not be a fan of splatters. I love splatters, as you've already witnessed. Okay, little tip when you're going to do splattering, make your paint like the consistency of milk. Scoop it up onto there. Light taps. The closer you go, the bigger the splats will become. The more you tap, the smaller they'll become. You can just add some more layers of interest to your backgrounds by adding some splatters, which you all know already. I guess that's really for the benefit of anyone that might be new to me and mixed media art journaling. I can't say enough how much I love mixed media art journaling. It's absolutely just amazing. So good for your mental health. Okay. So there's just some places refusing to dry. I'm going to block them because I'm so impatient. I can't bother to wait. But you can see that's gone from being a bit like, what's going on, to it's quite interesting now. And do you know what? I might just put some circles on here as well with the scribble sticks. Let's do that. I'm going to. Just going to draw some circles on. So when it comes to doing yours, if you get to a point where you think, I don't want any more on here, then you should stop. But the rule about when you are making something big and then cutting it down into smaller pieces, you can get away with so much more nonsense, because you're only going to see little areas of this. You're not going to see it all when it gets cut into the heart shapes. So definitely just don't overthink. The more marks, the better, really. And if you don't want to do circles, do whatever mark pleases you. Anything goes. Okay, so I've got that ready. I'm pretty sure I have got a little heart punch in here, which may or may not work. We shall see. Okay, let me just give this another dry, just to make sure. Actually feels pretty dry now. Okay. So I'm going to use this little heart punch. Like I said, if you are not sure about freehand cutting hearts yourself, then I would suggest you grab a pencil and just draw them out and then cut them out. I'm just going to do this like this. See whether it works or not. Yeah. So I have no idea what I'm going to get here, but I love, look how they come out. So cool. The colours are so pretty. And whatever I don't use, I'm going to save, because I use hearts all the time in my journaling. I don't think you can have too many. And of course, you can also keep the negative ones as well. And we can have a good look at these in a minute and see what we've got. I think they look really pretty. So I'm going to hang on to those. Honestly, the curse of the mixed media artist. End up hanging on to so many bits and bobs. But look at the difference in in these. I mean, we've got like gorgeous, so much variety. I don't think there'll be two that are the same. The colours are so pretty though. So let's zoom that back in. I'm going to carefully pick all of these up. Oh, look at that one. I love that. So there you go. See, there's the theory in action of making something big that you think, I don't like this. And then using small parts of it and ending up with something delicious and gorgeous. Okay, so we'll have a quick look at the page that I did here. So you can see I've added lots of hearts around. Now I did freehand cut those out, but I'm going to stick these ones on for now. And they are kind of coming all around the top of my page. So I have here, when I did this page, I've done similar colours to the colours that are on the background. I don't know, I'm just going to have a little play with this and see what's going to work best. You see, maybe like orange one's going to stand out better over here. I don't know. It's going to have a play and see what you like, see what works for you. You can kind of have them twisting and turning in different directions. We can outline them as well to make them stand out if you're worried that they're disappearing, excuse me, into the background. That's not going to be a problem. I'm just going to spread them out, stick them down, and we'll take it from there. I don't have any yellows on. Oh, okay, there's that one. Oh, look at that one. That's really pretty. It's kind of a little bit grungy. I realised I didn't have many yellows, but that's all right. We will use what we have. And stick those in. And those can go in a little stash somewhere. Right, let's just put those there for now. I'm going to grab the Dina Waitley Media Glue and then just start sticking these in. And then once they're in, I can then think about adding lines and outlining these a little bit so that they just pop forwards a bit from the background. So you'll see that I'm kind of following mostly the same direction, just every now and again I'm slightly tipping one the other way, just so that it adds a bit of variety to what's going on. I stuck that one in, yeah. I actually love the ones best that have got the little tiny bits of scribble stick and Stabilo pencil on them. I love how those ones have turned out. Right, I could just do with finding a couple more purpley ones, like that one. I actually really love this one. Look at that one. It's gorgeous. That's got a bit of... Put that down here. Yes. Let's... And then I think we could just do with purpley one up there. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do here is go around these with Stabilo pencil. Find one that's not completely blunt. That one will do. Okay, and I'm just going to outline these hearts. I'm going to go around them a couple of times. So obviously using the Stabilo pencil means you can go in and water activate, soften those lines if you don't like how harsh they are. I'm going to see what I think when I have done it. When I've outlined them all, I'll see whether I want to go and water activate some of them. Don't be too precious about your lines here. Keep them fairly loose because this page has got quite a loose feel. So adding this outline just helps to pop those hearts forward a little bit. Means you can see them a bit more, because at the minute they do just kind of disappear into the background, and that's all right, but I kind of want them to be a little bit more visible. Okay. So when it comes to creating, if you think, I'm not sure whether I want to do something, take a picture of your work and have a look at it, because it'll look super different on a photograph to how you think it looks. And I know that sounds a bit bonkers, but you get a very different perspective. Now I have a really tiny little heart stamp. This has come from Natalie May Scrapbooking. She has a stamp set with little hearts on, and what I want to do now is add some stamped hearts around these other hearts, just to add a bit more in, because more is definitely better. No, not really, just because I want to, really. And I'm going to grab, there are some hand-drawn heart shapes as well in one of the stamp sets that Nat's got, if you're not confident to draw your own. But hearts are not difficult. And what I would say is, like anything, the more you do it, the more you practice, the easier it becomes. So go in and just add some outlines of hearts. Go around them a couple of times, make them different shapes, different sizes. Don't overthink it. Let it happen how it happens. Try and embrace the ones that you think, don't like that. Doesn't matter. Your art journal has to be your safe place for trying things out. Okay. Now, let's have a look. Have we got this pretty much to the same place? I think so. So on this one, I hand wrote my quote. Obviously you've got, mine's fallen onto the floor, but you've got this wheeled over it, True Dina Styley. You could cut this out, I'll show you, and you could stick it onto your page. I would probably break it up if I was going to use it like this. In fact, I might. And I would say, you know, if you want to start using your handwriting in your art journals, you should do it. And the best way is to practice, of course. Kindness is free. Spread it everywhere. I like that. Do you know what? I'm actually going to stick those in. You can write what you want to say onto paper. Cut it out and then stick it in. So you can practice using your writing without committing to writing straight on your journal page, because I get that is a little bit scary. You know, because you may have done a page that you really, really, really love, and then feel like you potentially might end up not loving it as much. And that happens to me a lot. You have to shrug your shoulders and go, it's okay, never mind. Now, I want to just darken up this text a little bit, so I'm going to write over the top of it. This pen that I'm using here is an Artex paint pen. It's got a brush tip and it's got a bullet tip as well. My printer was running out of black toner when I printed this, so I'll just go over the writing. Okay, that is the free class complete. So my 2 pages are a little bit different. That's one I've handwritten myself and I hand cut the hearts out. This one here I've used a punch for the hearts, so they're a little bit less obvious, but I like how this has come together. I hope you've enjoyed creating this journal page. I'd love to see what you create, so don't forget, if you share on social media, to tag me, Art Journal Love. I hope you've enjoyed creating this lovely colourful journal page in your art journals and have enjoyed this free content as a thank you from me. If you are interested in doing more classes with me, you can find lots on my website, artjournallove.com, and also I have over 2 years worth of classes on Natalie May Scrapbooking's website, including another year of classes coming up in 2026. So if you're interested, pop over to Nat's website and have a look. Thank you ever so much for all your support over the year, your comments, your likes, everything. It means so much, and I can't wait to see what you all create. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.